Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. I am your co-host, Small Town EP. In the week where we had the least watched Game 1 in World Series history, a Patrick Mahomes flu game, and Lionel Messi wins another Ballon d'Or, ATS is back to give you the real in sports. Our guest today, familiar face, joins us, makes time for us in between shooting Heat games and planning fatherhood. Kev, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
It's good to see you again.
It's
Excited to
always
have
good.
you on tonight's show.
Yeah,
And
always good to be here.
as always, your host, Mr. Heat in 5 himself, Miami to NYC. Wait, Julian, see you soon, June. June, how you doing tonight, man? How's NYC treating you on this Halloween Eve?
You're right. It is Halloween Eve, and I remember that throughout the day, but just in the last few minutes, I did forget. So thanks for bringing me back to those spooky vibes. This is a nice Halloween episode. I'm good, man. Everything's good. Broward is nice. New York City is nice. Heat and five. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. We lost to the Bucks today. That means we go four straight. You know what I mean? Like we don't lose
There it is.
four consecutive to the Bucks. So. But everything's good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You already know I'm up in Atlanta now. And just like halfway move. Enjoying the city. It's cool. It's nice up here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sweating like I would be down in South Florida. I got these shitty hotel lights behind me, but soon there'll be nice little little cozy apartment vibes. So we're
Ooh,
working
we're
on
gonna
that.
see the new setup soon.
You feel me? You
All
feel
right.
me? I don't know what this picture is, but it's the picture behind me. Eventually, is going to be a Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl, plaque. But we don't, whatever. It's in a box
Hey,
somewhere getting shipped up here right now.
hey, that's cool. I respect it. A few things I noticed you said. I'll let you take it away after this, but one, Kev planned uh, fatherhood. He got fatherhood coming up. Just shout out to you, shout out to her, and blessings. That's awesome news.
Thank you, thank you.
For sure. And the other thing that stuck out to me with all the things going on in the sports world, which I'm excited, NBA is back. You know what I'm saying? Like we get to talk about the NBA again and our Miami Heat back on the hardwood. Pause. It's crazy that NBA term is now an AO term, but that's where we are. 2023. You said the least watched game since when or in history?
In history, least watched game one in World Series history, and it was by
And,
about 130,000 viewers.
and can I say what a game. Before we get into it, I mean, I don't know if that's where we were gonna start or what, but what a game!
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about it, man. And talk about it because you texted me
Yeah,
today and you said we'll talk about World Series parentheses. What a game one. So talk about it, man.
I mean, it's just like for it to be such a it's not a New York, it's not a XYZ Houston Dodgers, and it's the last place team in the NL and the Rangers who've been, just been able to get it done this season. None of that screams excitement to like the naked eye for casuals. But if you watch baseball, I mean, look at how I said the Cardinals. We'll talk about the Cardinals. Um,
Facts.
but the the way that the Diamondbacks play, the speed, the pace, athleticism they use, and their ways to get on board, it's like it's exciting baseball. And then you look at the Rangers and the consistency they've played with, and getting Max Scherzer when all things went bad with the Mets, which was really since opening day, but they just had to wait that out. And yeah, things have been not for Chapman, as Kev pointed out to us, or all this Chapman, came in, let up what was it, 2 hits and a run, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, but no, game one was super exciting. Corey Seager hits a freaking 2-run home run to tie the game up in the bottom of the ninth. After it was a good start for the Rangers. They're both teams, mind you, are undefeated when starting the game with the lead, and right right now it's the top of the ninth. Arizona has a really good chance to, or they have a chance, Texas, to put some insurance here with a runner on and one out. But I really kind of just wanted to see the point of the game, and I lost my train of thought in what I was trying to explain, but it happens. So,
Yeah, no, it does.
In game one, sorry. In game one, they started off good, and then Arizona made a comeback, kept it, bottom of the ninth. Corey Seager's blasted 2-run home run to tie it up. You get to extra innings, and the thing is like I had pulled the game up right before I was doing a photo shoot. Actually, shout out to my boy Arab and his clothing brand 7000. You'll see like some photos that I'm doing, and we're doing some content for him. So super excited to kind of see how that works out. That's kind of something new that I'm trying to get into, like film photography and maybe kind of photography in general. But I've noticed I've developed a sense of liking to it. Enough about me though. It's more so getting to the point of what I was doing. I was in the middle of that. I just finished the Heat game, which was it's on Friday. We lost to those Celtics there with that late call, that kind of one of those spos like that's not right. That's not right.
I didn't even get ejected just once.
Right. He's like, when he does that, I'm like, yeah, I know he's tight. So, but I was doing the shoot, and we had the Rangers game on. We ended up started walking, so I kind of put my phone in my pocket real quick, pulled the game back up, and it was still in the same inning, and I saw the game was tied. And I saw Corey Seager hit the home run, and I was like, I'm going to watch the rest of this game. This is crazy. Extra innings comes on, and then lo and behold, Adolis Garcia comes to bat. And it's like, they're like, the stat line at the bottom's like, hit a home run in 11 of last 21 games. And I'm just like, yo, this guy's been, obviously, even before that stat line, having an amazing season, and especially his postseason run. He's just on fire. And, bro, when you're on fire in baseball, like when you're in that zone, he's in one of those, like, historical postseason zones of greatness. So he comes in and just does exactly what people thought he could have done, and, like, what Diamondbacks fans were so scared of what he was going to do in that moment. And it's just like, wait, if you didn't watch that game, I understand you might not be a Diamondbacks fan and you might not be a Rangers fan, because most of us aren't. But that's great baseball cinematography wise. Like that, you can't write it any better the way it's being written. And if it is your team, yo, you're heartbroken. Game one, you had it, and you let up 2 home runs in back-to-back innings and a walk-off. Yo, that's got to be crazy. But to come back, I don't know if you have thoughts on game one or anything, but like to come back in game two, I think it was important. So before we take it away to game two, EP, what's up with game one? What you thinking?
I mean, of course, Adolis. I mean, that's first and foremost. I mean, for you to go to be in game one of the World Series at the crib and go 3 for 4 with a home run and bat 357. I mean, when most of the rest of your team is going 1-4, 1-4, 0-4. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Young, who went 2 for 5, and Tavares, who went 0 for 3, but he got a run. He was on base. I mean, it just speaks volume, like you said, to the zone that he's in, and then to bring it back to your boy, nasty Nate Eovaldi, going 4 2/3, and allowing 6 hits, 5 earned runs, not having the best outing, but being able to rely on those bats, man. Because I'm sure he was pissed, he was tight with his performance, but just knowing that he has those battle-proven soldiers behind him in that lineup. I mean, it just speaks, again, I said this last week, it speaks volume to the buy-in of this team, because we're currently watching 2 wild card teams in the World Series. I mean, again, wild card, which is probably what affected the viewership, and having 130,000 less viewers than the last World Series that was like the lowest viewed Game 1 World Series. Apologize. I mean, again, it just speaks volume to the buy-in. It speaks volumes to the zone that they're in, and to the organization that is the Texas Rangers, man. Kev, did you catch any of Game 1 by any chance?
Yeah, I was able to catch the end of game one, actually, so baseball is like the first sport outside of wrestling, I would say, that I like really fell in love with and like played for years. And so I've always been a baseball fan, but obviously as time has gone on, I've become more of a basketball and football fan than baseball. But I still love the playoffs. I love the field. I totally forgot game one was on. So so I understand how it could have been um like the lowest rated game one in World Series history, because I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's the marketing for baseball or what it is, but they just don't seem to like. Like I said, I forgot it was on. But I got home and then I remembered that it was on. After coming home from the a Heat Celtics watch party with 5 Reasons Sports, got back home, put on the end of the game, got home literally as the bottom of the ninth was starting. So saw the Seager home run, and then the Garcia home run. But yeah, like Julian said, it's like that's cinema, right? Like you can't have like it's so unfortunate that that was the lowest uh, rated game one in World Series history because of the like the cinema that it produced. Like that's great baseball. That's great for the
You
sport.
missed out. Hey, if you missed out, you missed out, bro. You had the opportunity. It's the World Series, and I get it, Kev. Like, cause I did. No. You're absolutely right. When I walked by a bar, it was like in the 7. So it was just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, which that's cool. That's baseball. I mean, but at the same time, this one is a little more. You feel it a little more.
Yeah.
I still was personally intrigued for this World Series because these are two teams I like Corbin Carroll, and I like that he just has come in and kind of taken things by storm in Arizona, and this team has found a lot of success fast in a division like that one, and with the Dodgers doing what they did in their playoff chance. It's crazy to we're already here at the World Series. That's what happened this playoffs. Y'all mad and y'all don't want to watch these two teams because these two teams came out and survived this playoff where the Braves, the Dodgers, like it was the Marlins didn't even put up a fight versus the Phillies.
The Rays, the Orioles, waste
Rays
man.
got hurt, couldn't even win anything. Yeah, so like, and look, we got the Rangers who've been consistent for the most part, like I say, all year, and the Diamondbacks that snuck in there with a rookie and they're doing their thing. So the story's there. I think game 2, I didn't watch it. It got out of hand. Excuse me, but game 3 is actually more of a good game. The game 2 was like the response game from Arizona. Like we should have won game 1, but here we'll go ahead and just win game 2, which I like to see. But
and game 2 was a good game until about it was 2-1 going into the 7th, and a couple of errors, here and there, some miscues, and before you know it, Arizona scores 7 in 3 innings, and they end up winning 9-1. It was actually very nasty work. I was watching that game live, and there was a lot of miscues, miscommunications on the defensive side for the Rangers. Evan Longoria missed like a routine ground ball. Like it was literally routine, and it went in between his glove and his knee. And that scored 2 runs when it should have been a double play more than likely. 4-3-2 or whatever it is. So it was a good game until, as they say, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, we got game 3 right now, and it's a battle. It's a battle.
Way off. That pitch was, I don't know where you guys are, but that pitch was way off the plate that he just called for strike 2. That was crazy.
I'm watching.
And that's the problem with baseball right now. That's the big topic of conversation that is going to be had here in the near future. And I think they're saying by 2025, they're going to have that implicated, that robotic strike zone or so. Because, I like the realness and the authenticity of like, I guess that's traditional.
Human error.
Yeah, and it brings an element to the game. Like certain umpires have you let umpires and referees have personalities. Like let's be honest, and that's fair. You know, a respectable job, and to do what they do is tough. And for the, you know, they're gonna have their way in this. But at the same time, when it comes down to like actually affecting the game because of your personality or your ego, like that's where you gotta draw the line. And this year specifically in the MLB, I feel like there's an epidemic of like umpires who have been, you know, basically crying and abusing their power.
And I think the biggest problem with not just umpiring but officiating across all major sports leagues is that there's no accountability. So umpires.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna bring up Tony Brown and the Celtics burner fan. The fan, like,
Yeah, and then he retires. Okay, but I mean, you look at like there was a home plate umpire. I can't remember which game it was, but it was a wild card game, and he's behind home plate, and he was it wasn't Angel Hernandez, thank God. But even Angel Hernandez, like, what? Why is he still umpiring? But there was an umpire behind the plate. I can't remember which game it was. I believe it was a Tampa Bay game, if I'm not mistaken. But he was ranked 27th of 32, I think, like in balls and strikes of a certain number of umpires who umpired a certain number of games behind the plate. Why is that guy umpiring a playoff game? Like, why is the 27th out of 32? Like, you know what? There should be a playoff bracket for umpires also.
Definitely,
like,
definitely.
So the 27th team out of 32 in the NFL has a top 5 pick. They don't get, like, you need to go to training if you're 27 out of 32. You can't go to the playoffs. You got to go to like training. Like, this is, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's crazy to me.
100%. And
no, it is.
However you want to put it, I think the MLB in the long run will be better off with the automatic strike zone. It's going to be something to get used to. Players are going to have, because that's like, it's like a teacher at school where, you know, you're not necessarily excelling and learning so much because they're not such a great teacher, and you can kind of lag off in that class and talk, but you ain't learning. But like, you get that strict teacher, and you're gonna learn. You know, you're gonna learn. You're gonna pass the class, but that teacher's strict, boy. Your ass ain't playing around. Ain't no talking. You getting kicked out of class. They'll take your phone. So it's like, that strike zone gonna be automatic, and that bitch said ball. So, you know, or like that shit said strike, and that's gonna be like a harsh reality, I think, for players to get adjusted to, where it's just so automatic. And it's like, usually I would take that because I could get that. That's like range I could get. But if we're painting the strike zone automatic, that's got to be a big factor. And to have changed the pitching rules with the count, and now having another kind of big change in the next few years, if this happens, I think that's big for baseball in the sense of, one, maybe in growing the sport, you know, nowadays with getting more fans or whatever the case is, just trying to make it better, I guess. But yeah, I'm
I mean,
for
they
that.
clearly need to do something to help grow the sport after the ratings came out for game 1. But you know, yeah, I don't know what it is, whether it's marketing players better, or because I feel like that's something also is like, I feel like when we were younger, you know, back in the 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot more like Jeter, McGuire, Sosa, Bonds, regardless of what they did. Like, at the time, those were the guys. Now I feel like, and Ken Griffey, like, guys, people knew who those guys were, regardless of if you watched baseball or not. Everybody knew Derek Jeter. Everybody knew Ken Griffey Jr. Everybody knew Barry Bonds. I don't think your casual, I just watch baseball every now and then when it's on, whatever, don't even pay attention. I don't think they could name you 5 guys in the league right now. Maybe Ohtani, and then like beyond that, who is like somebody really naming. And even when they say Ohtani, I'm sure they're not getting his name right. You know what I mean? Like Shohei, the Shohei.
What's that Japanese? they really, well, I don't say that to be offensive. I feel like that's just what the natural person is gonna say. But anyways, I feel like, yeah, that's crazy. I was thinking, what 5 players would a casual really know, for real? They'll be like, is is this guy still in the league? And then they're gonna name somebody
Yeah,
from like
and then
2014.
even you look at Mike Trout, even him, like he's been consistently one of the best players in baseball for how long, and I feel like even him, maybe a casual, maybe not though.
Yeah.
But everybody knew Derek Jeter, everybody knew Ken Griffey Jr., everybody knew Mark McGwire. So just
Well, you need to get to know Corey Seager, no cap, and I'll tell you why. This guy is a postseason performer. He is a championship guy. He is a guy that you bring to your team, and it impacts it immensely. 9th straight road win for the Texas Ranger. That's a single postseason record. And Corey Seager has a lot to do with both games that they have won in this postseason and or in this World Series. And he's coming from Los Angeles. For those who don't know, if you are a baseball casual, that's cool because baseball, it's not the best to everybody. It's whatever to some people. I think it's an amazing sport and that people, if you really sat and understood it, you would love it. But that's for you to figure out. Now, what I can tell you is that this guy, Corey Seager, was a huge impact at shortstop for the Dodgers in their long championship runs. He comes over to Texas this year and is obviously impacting in the same way. And you see the Dodgers ain't get swept. They won one game, right?
yeah.
But it looked bad. It looked bad. And this Cardinals team, I keep saying the damn Cardinals. This Diamondbacks team, I'm not gonna help the casual. Sorry, casual. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks. But
Facts.
I mean, you know, it's cool to see, man. Marcus Semien and those guys are 2 wins away from their first World Series. What is that? Since 2013 or 12 with Josh. What was his name? Josh Hamilton.
Oh yeah,
Josh
Hamilton.
damn.
Hamilton.
Damn.
And
that's 3
about Josh Hamilton. I don't know.
You said 2, it's 3 more games just for the viewers. And 2 things before we move on to
Wait, are they not up 2-1?
No, this is game 3. It's tied at 1.
No, it's 2-1 now. Texas.
You just said it's game 3. It's tied at 1.
Well, if game 3 hasn't ended, then
Game 3
I guess
ended.
it just
Yeah.
ended.
No,
It just ended? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
So I'm channeling back to Monday Night Football.
Well,
glad we're on the same page now because I was like,
also just like I think them taking game 1 with Evaldi having the game he had was important because Evaldi, I feel like, has consistently been very good in the postseason, regardless of who he's with. So I feel like this is usually the time where Evaldi shines. But obviously, having a game, subpar game 1,
right.
I'd expect him to bounce back in his next start. So that's, I think, is good news for Texas.
Hey, I mean, again, just kind of to speak on the buy-in of this team. Adolis Garcia goes 0 for 3 today, and we win game 3, 3-1. I mean, Evan Carter goes 2 for 3. A couple people went 0 for 4, but we got the job done, which speaks volumes. A couple takeaways, or I guess add-ons. Ketel Marte, man, again, still doing what he does, and he broke a record, most consecutive hits in the postseason, if I'm not mistaken, at 18. I don't know did he get one today? I can pull that up right now. He did. So it continues at 19. Like he just continues to he's keeping on. And Max Scherzer, who started today, he left in the 4th inning due to a comeback pitch that came back and hit him. I don't know the details on it because our boy Antoine the Don, AF1, shout out to that boy. LRMP, you know what I'm saying? He let me know. But yeah, man, it's honestly, when he sent it to the group chat of LRMP, I said hate to see it because I really do hate to see something like that. Like it's granted he's in year 16, if I'm not mistaken, year 16, 17, and he seems to not have missed a step, but he keeps having these mishaps. He keeps having this, I guess, I don't know, bad luck if you want to call it. I hope all is well, prayers up, you know what I mean? Because if it goes to, game 6, game 7, they're definitely going to need him.
Was it like to the head?
Nah, I think it was like to the arm or something like that. which I don't want to say it's just as bad, but for a baseball player, it's it's pretty bad. Let us.
I know. The players up got me. So I was just like, what's
this is God-given talent, man. I go play football no more.
But, all right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's move on to the NBA, man.
3 of the World Series.
Yep. And I hope it's a long. I hope it's a whole. It's it goes to Game 7. I hope it's
We got an exciting Game 4 coming. Yeah, before we get into
no, keep going. You're good. What were you saying, Jim?
Issue, my bad. No, I said before we get into the NBA, I wanted to talk about the victory, back-to-back victory, back-to-back overtime victory against the Virginia Cavaliers this past Saturday at the Hard Rock. It's a little dim in my setting right now. I had to relocate for the evening, and the light I have, it gets brighter. Could have chose a brighter one, but just to address that, Kev got the green going, and I wanted to have some sort of orange for Halloween vibe, but this light actually has an orange and green light together. And so in the spirit of winning back-to-back home games in overtime, we use the green and orange or orange and green light. So that's all that's behind that. I'll say this. Tyler Van Dyke went from first round prospect to what the hell are we talking about to this year coming back. Oh shit, he is a first round prospect. Shannon Dawson in that offense got him going to, oh shit, what the hell are you talking about? And that's kind of where we're at right now. And so I don't want to go and critique his game so much because I think Tyler Van Dyke is a good quarterback. Like, I think he has tools to make him what can be great. But I don't. The reason I don't want to talk on it so much because I don't know what is missing. Is it decision making? Is it what is he not seeing? Is it study? Is it that type of thing? And because he has arm talent, he has athleticism. He's not a bad. I mean, I'd like to say he's not a bad decision maker, even though he has been in the past few weeks versus the better team. You know what I mean? That we've played because he started off the season looking amazing, but we take a look at the schedule. But it's just pretty concerning. Although we did get the win, I am happy about that. Gotta love the Mark Fletcher post-game interview. Man, just God, man. That's just God, man. Shout out to this God, man. What can I say? So, shout out to Mark Fletcher for getting us that game-winning touchdown in overtime. Kev, I know you have some thoughts because I wanted to ask you before we were going to talk about this earlier, and we never got into it. But last week versus Clemson. Thank you. How could I forget? Clemson.
We were there.
Last week, I was at the game, right, with EP, and going into overtime, we had an opportunity to try to maybe kick a field goal. Granted, Emory Williams was in the game. We weren't having much success throwing the ball. It was run, which thankfully the run game worked. You know what I mean? And it was kind of enjoyable at one point. Like, yeah, hand that bitch off. But this week we got our guy back, QB Uno, and before last week, before the Clemson game, we lose because of that fumble, right, at the end of the game, put them in range to try to get a score. And I don't know if this is the formula that whenever we're tied, we're just going to kneel the ball with a minute left or run the ball with a minute left and just try to get to overtime as fast as possible. It's kind of alarming because I understand that thought process, but what about when you have to come back in that situation? What about when you have to, get yourself in range to score? Or what about there's just enough time for them to be able to get 3 stops and have enough time to get the ball back? What do you do in that situation? And so not going through that situation, I don't know if it's, again, based on because that fumble and how we lost that crazy-ass game versus Georgia Tech, but I'm trying to make sense about it because as a fan, hey, we won, right? I'm going to take that every single time. We won. It worked. We won. But I'm not going to say that's the formula. I'm not going to go that far. I'm more so saying it did work, and, you can trust and believe in your team. That's how Cristobal feels probably. Like, yo, we can go in overtime, get a stop, and get a score. And, hey, that's putting your balls on the table, too. So I respect that.
Pause.
It's like, are you putting your balls on the table and saying we could just go to overtime and score? Or are you saying, I don't want to lose this game in the fourth quarter like we have before and risk things right now because we might not be able to move the ball upfield? Like, it's like, what is it? So that's all I got, Kev. I'm glad we won the last 2 games. We got fucking Florida State next week. We going to Doak Campbell. We go, what I'm talking about? It's FSU. It's hate week. And we hating hard. Starting from today, we hating hard because it's only Monday, but it's going to soon be Thursday. We got another episode, and it's going to soon be Saturday. And Saturday is game day. So, you know what? The nose. Go Canes. You already know the vibes. Kev, what you got on this?
That game's on 11-11. So FSU, you better wish for another team to come into Doak Campbell because you don't want to see these Hurricanes. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, that wish ain't coming true. The Canes coming.
No, but yeah, Mario saw everybody talking about he should have knelt. He's like, oh, you want to see a kneel? I'm gonna kneel this bitch into overtime. He's like, I'm gonna kneel every chance I get. But yeah, I mean, so not to leap forward and talk about the Jets, but Robert Saleh had a quote after the game yesterday. Robert Saleh. No, this is gonna, it's all gonna tie in. You're gonna understand.
Oh my God.
He had a quote.
I believe it.
He had a quote after the game yesterday that said they never ask you how, they ask you how many in terms of wins. And that's the truth. I mean, I don't give a fuck if they win every game by 1 point or how they won that game. I don't care if they won every game like Georgia Tech won against Miami. It's, you leave with a W, that's all that counts, and that's all that matters. And so, I mean, obviously the positions where you're in, where you have to make those decisions and they go the other way, you're going to be questioned and critiqued more than you're going to get praise for the ones that you win, because that's just how it works.
Going on right now, and I don't like it. My coach is great.
But we started talking about it, and then I said I'll save it. But what I was going to say earlier is that Georgia Tech game, it just, since that game, it hasn't seemed like the same team, regardless of who they're playing. They haven't. Virginia's not a good football team, and took them to overtime. Before that Georgia Tech game, they were blowing teams out that they were supposed to blow out, and that's what made you think, like, okay, maybe this team really has something that they can compete for an ACC conference championship this year. But obviously that goes down the drain with that Georgia Tech loss. But then I wonder almost if Mario, and I don't know, I have no knowledge of this, but I wonder almost if Mario kind of lost a little bit of the locker room with the way he approached his post-game conference and not putting the blame on himself, and kind of, still putting it on the running back when, one, wasn't a fumble, and two, as a coach, a college coach, nonetheless, where you're dealing with, young adults, That's kind of your job, right? To take the blame for that loss in that situation when you could have knelt the ball and walked out of there with a win. So if I was a player, it would rub me the wrong way. And unless Mario has addressed that with the team, which Mario I don't think is the type to do that. He seems very stand on business type person. So I don't know. I'm speculating, obviously, but the team has not played the same since that week. And obviously, you can say they didn't play well that week. Teams do that all the time, and they come and bounce back and have a great game. But they just haven't been that same football team for 4 weeks since that game.
And so, my thing with that is, I if you were to be like, walk with me, I'd walk with you for a little bit. I'd still think about like, who's this guy? Why am I talking to him? But the flip side of that is like, that was the first ACC game. And this could just be who this Miami Hurricanes team still is. You know what I mean? And yeah, we beat up on those guys. And yes, we did beat Texas A&M. And I respect that win. I respect the hell out of it. And I respect the hell out of how we have been winning. The fact that we're able to like close games now, so I'm not saying we're just the same old team, but the remnants is still there of what we can be, or like what we've been known for the last few years. And when we're playing this not great, but better competition, I mean, we've had this little battle. And again, Clemson, you know what I mean? Virginia, back-to-back wins. But that loss in Georgia Tech, that game shouldn't have been close. With the offense we were running, weeks 1 through 3 or 4 at the time, like, what happened? So,
and you look at Texas A&M, and I think that's the biggest it's the biggest question mark on like how they did that to that Texas, because that's not a bad football team either. They have 2 other losses on the season to Alabama and Tennessee, who are both top 20 teams right now. And Alabama beat them by 6 and Tennessee beat them by 7. So Miami's beat them worse than anybody has this year. And their other 2 losses are to 2 top 20 teams in the nation. And it was like 26, 20, and 27. Like it was not 48, 33. So it's a mystery with this Miami team on like what has happened, but they put a beating on a good football team in week 2.
They sure did. But that also had to have some sort of like, vengeance to it, right? There had to be some sort of like, there was extra behind that game specifically.
But see, if you're back to the U, every game is treated that way. It's not just one game.
That's why I'm bringing up the point that, we're just not there yet. We're not that team that we thought was going to be so dominant. And I mean, not to say we came into this year. I came into this year expecting nothing. Before I make my next point, I want to say that back to that Georgia Tech game, it was Tyler Van Dyke making mistakes as well.
Oh yeah, and interceptions in the red zone. Yeah,
like we've been turning the ball over, and that's been a key issue this season. But going back to my last point, which me losing my train of thoughts and shit, but nonetheless, this Hurricanes team needs to just keep growing. Like we're seeing the growth. Like I mentioned the ability to finish games. This team maybe last year would have lost one of these overtime games, right? Clemson comes in and beats us. And then it's like, those are 2 home games as well. You got to win those games at the end of the day. Fucking Clemson, whoever, FSU comes here, man, you got to win that game. You got to win that game because what are we doing? We're trying to compete for an ACC championship. We've already lost to Georgia Tech on some shit that we shouldn't have lost. So we don't have room for error. And if we're going to – I'm talking about this team in this way because this is how we're viewing ourselves. And this is how they're viewing themselves as far as contending for the ACC. And so if that's the way you're going to look at this season, you can't be – you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a little too close for comfort, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm going to always rock with us. We're a win, however, like you said, however the hell we win. And I'm going to title the episode, when you brought that up, I got the name of the episode, and it's a win is a win. That's going to be the episode title because it's true. Who cares? Double overtime, single overtime, blow them out, win by game-winning field goal, bro. We've lost. You lose by a damn field goal, and that shit is heartbreaking. Why wouldn't you be happy as hell to win by just 3 points or just 1 point? What? So, anyways, college football is getting exciting. I think the Caleb Williams thing is like it's not even a Caleb. USC.
I was waiting to talk about this game.
USC is their defense is bad, bro.
Bad.
This shit is Colorado bad.
I want to talk about that game too.
Colorado kept it right there with them.
They did, but like, yo.
Well, no, I'm saying that's how bad that defense is. Because
exactly.
We've seen good teams shut Colorado down because that offensive line is not good. Even Dion just said it the other day.
Hey, he said, I think the party's over in Colorado, man. I think that the fun is over. Like I feel like Coach Prime, his demeanor has changed these last 3 weeks. Like it doesn't look like he's having as much fun as he was in the first 3-4 weeks anymore. And I think, what's up?
Let me ask you a question. You go to work, right?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I don't imagine that you buy. I know you probably buy lunch out often, but I don't imagine you do it every day. You take lunch to work. You know what I'm saying? You're a man. You take lunch to work. If you meal prep or take lunch to work and you got to take the same leftovers for 2 or 3 days straight, and it's humble pie, that shit don't taste good, and you don't go to work happy, and you don't get on a mic and talk to the media with the same energy. And respectfully, we knew what was coming. Again, when Pac-12 football starts, you know what I'm saying? Once you start getting in that conference play, this is where we're going to see if you can really win football games. No matter if it's the worst team in your conference or if it's the best team in your conference.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see what your team is built on with conference play. That's the most important part of the season. So, with that being said, I mean, I like the fact that he understands where he's at now, and he came out and called out his offensive line, and whether that lost his locker room, not locker room, but that O-line, they might have checked out at that moment, bro, because that coach said, bro, honestly, these dudes ain't doing shit, and we need to find some dogs, but we still got 5 more weeks in this bitch, and we gonna, it's what we got. That's basically it's what we got.
He said
exactly.
He said, "Ain't no scheme that can save us. We just need a new O-line. That's what it is. We need a new O-line. That's what it is."
Save us. We need a new, and we'll get him. And we'll get him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, June. June, your boy.
They also got robbed. Whole locker room got robbed. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
This is the first time that Deion Sanders' office or locker room space got robbed. It happened at Jackson State last season. And this season, I don't know if somebody got a track on his phone or what the case is. I don't know what this is, but that's pretty wild. And yeah, I wouldn't be talking to the media any type of happy if I found out my shit got robbed either. I'm not even sure if it was before or after he found out, but that O-line would have pissed me off like I got robbed.
Them SoCal boys don't play, man. They gonna run down on you, bro. They gonna run down on you.
He got to go to Colorado and ask for an increase in budget so he can hire some security for during the games. Just stand in the locker room.
Something, man. Yo, June, your boy Pat McAfee was on College Football Countdown on Saturday, saying that Utah was one of the ugliest, not ugliest, was one of the scariest defenses. And then Oregon came out and embarrassed them, like just flat out embarrassed them, 38-6, held them scoreless in the second half. That was one of my biggest takeaways from that. Your boy Bo Nix went, 248 yards.
I mean, get the stats off. My fault.
Nah, you good. Yeah, 248 yards, 2 tutties. Brandon Irvin had 14 carries, 83 yards in the tutty. Franklin had 8 receptions, about 100 yards in the tutty. I mean, Oregon came to play, is what I can say, and it didn't look like their defense was scary at all. The other big takeaway I had from this weekend, because like you said, June, it was a very exciting college football weekend. Um, Kansas inviting Oklahoma over, and then I'm not gonna say I really want to say beating the brakes off of them, because the way, if you watch the highlights, it looked like it was just a dominating fashion, and Oklahoma was able to stay in the game, obviously, because the scoreline says that they only lost by what was it, 5 points.
Yeah,
Um,
38-33.
but yeah, but it didn't look like it was only 5 points. It looked ugly. Oklahoma didn't look efficient. That was one of my other biggest takeaways.
Have that lead the whole game. So, I mean, it happens, you know. And Kansas, shout out to Kansas. Kansas isn't a bad football team. Um, they're not a great football team, but you know that Big 12. That it's just to me, conference play. There's obviously tiers in conference. Like, you know, UF just fucking played Georgia. See, it's Georgia. It's
Hey,
Georgia.
but hold up, because there was those linemen that was saying, "Hey, we play SEC football just like." No, you don't. You don't play SEC football like Georgia plays SEC football, Brody.
You play SEC football like Georgia played SEC football, you'd be at Georgia playing SEC football at Georgia. that's why you at UF, because you don't play SEC football like they play SEC football. And that was like with the disrespect to UF. Shout out to the Kings once again.
Again,
And that's
again,
why it
again.
was a hate week. You know, you caught me on hate week. You know what I'm saying? And anybody's liable to get hated on right now. You want to jump to that NBA, because I feel like they hating on Chris Paul, making him lose his record of 1,366 games of starting, and they said to the bench, which
To the
obviously
bench.
I think it was a cool segue, but this could really work. I think they're noticing he probably works better, because they were starting him and then playing him short minutes and then getting him in with the bench when the bench comes in, letting him run that. And they probably figured through what did they play, 3 games, that he's just more efficient maybe off the bench, or what the case is. But yeah, man, 1,366 games starting. And obviously that's the life of a star. But like Chris Paul's in his 17th league year or some shit like that. What is he? Class of 06. And sorry if my math just didn't math, but hey, it is what it is. I know the draft class. Man, what a career. And I think this is going to be an exciting season to see him and Steph Curry get to play next to each other all year. What are y'all thoughts on Chris Paul, one, being with the Warriors, NBA starting, and him, going to the bench role?
I'm excited just to see the chemistry that he builds. Obviously, we all know the rolling feud that he has with Steve, or had with Steve Kerr. I'm sure it's all been settled. I'm sure they went out to dinner and had some nice steaks and drinks. You know what I mean? And they laughed at a couple. They had a couple fake laughs at a couple bad jokes. You know what I mean? But I'm excited just to see the chemistry. He's obviously there for a reason. An organization like the Warriors and a coach like Steve Kerr doesn't just bring anybody in, especially in whatever year he's in. So I'm just excited to see how he contributes. Especially, I mean, again, the Warriors are one of the best not one of the best third quarter team in the league. And just to see how he contributes to that aspect, to those specific 12 minutes, is going to be very interesting to me. What about you, Kev? What you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors have looked really good so far. I know it's 4 games in for them, but I think Chris Paul is a great addition. And I think Chris Paul is going to be closing a lot. So I don't think starting matters. I think it's who closes more than who's starting. But I think having Chris Paul and Draymond Green on the floor at the same time, with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson as their shooters around them, you have probably the two smartest basketball players on the court at all times, with the ability to find two of the greatest shooters of all time. And then you could plug in Wiggins or Looney if you need size, or whoever you might need in that fifth spot. But
Draymond.
Yeah,
Oh, you're saying
with Chris Paul, Draymond, Steph, and Clay on the floor, that fifth spot can be plugged in with Wiggins or Looney, whoever's needed, based on the matchup. But yeah, I think I love Chris Paul. I think it's funny that like people think Golden State was going to get worse with Chris Paul when he's done nothing but make any team he's gone to better. So like, why would this be any sort of different, especially when he's playing with three other Hall of Famers now? They have the potential to win a championship this year for sure if they stay healthy.
Yeah, you got anything, or can I talk about the player of the week on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference side?
Yeah, who you got? No, I want to hear that.
I got Tyrese Maxey with Philly. I mean, this is a guy that the Heat didn't take, and we went with this is our Devin Booker 2.0 right here. We went with Precious Achiuwa, and Tyrese Maxey was there, and obviously for those who all know, which always, forever, love, respect, peace to Justice Winslow, a Duke Blue Devil champion, a legend out there in Durham, and he's an NBA player. He's a solid NBA player. Or he was at one point. And, he's trying to figure things back out now. But shout out to Justice Winslow. Obviously, Devin Booker was right there for the taking, and it was one of those. You have to take a risk here with Devin Booker because you don't know if he's going to be who he is today, right? Like, I didn't think all that. He is by far, in my opinion, exceeded expectations. But nonetheless, this ain't about Devin Booker because he's not the player of the week. It's Tyrese Maxey, 2-1 Philadelphia, 30 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 6.3 assists. But wait, there's more. The Western Conference player of the week, 3-0. Nikola Jokic, which I want to talk about this Denver Nuggets team, how they're about to go back to back. Anyways, 26.3 points a game, 13 rebounds a game, and 7.7 assists. He has a triple-double on the year already. What can't he do on a basketball floor? When can't he win in a basketball game? And yeah, I mean, shout out to those boys there for the first week of basketball getting the NBA Player of the Week,
man. I got I mean, he did his job tonight, but Damian Lillard, bro. Going from, and I got the stat line, so I'm going to read this off. Going from opening night, 39 points, 4 assists, 8 rebounds, to 2 for 12 from the field, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 6 turnovers is super polar, super crazy. That stat line is crazy for your name to be Damian Lillard. I don't know what's going on. Tonight he had 25, a good amount of rebounds, a good amount of assists. I shouldn't do that. I should give you the exact stat line. Tonight he had 25, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds, accompanied with 4 turnovers, which, again, you gotta trickle down those turnovers because later on to the season it gets ugly. And my donkey of the week, my not so much player of the week, is going to be Zach LaVine with his 51-point performance, no assist, and a 16-point loss to the Detroit Pistons. Hey, look, I get it. Michael Jordan had 51-point games with no assists too, but your name not Michael Jeffrey Jordan, all right, buddy? Your name is Zachary LaVine, and you can't do that, bro. Like, you did all that for no fucking reason. Crazy. That's my not so much player of the week in the NBA this week on my end.
I'll tell you what, he got into it with I don't remember the guy's name on the Pacers, but he got into it with the guy, and it looked weird. I don't know who initiated. I don't know what the banter is and the talk on the court is. So I'm just looking. You got to wait for that. There's this one dude. I don't know if you guys seen him, or you guys have seen him, who like gets all the clips of the voice and like
yeah.
You gotta wait till he drops, and we'll see. But I don't know. The guy went to the floor and had the ball. The ref called like stop ball, foul, whatever, and then Zach LaVine tried to like rip the ball out, and then it got to a push-shove match. The interesting thing is that every time there's like a scrum or a fight, I always think like to the bench, like, yo, don't get off that bench because what, you gonna get suspended, right? Like that's a suspension right there. Don't come off the bench. Yo, like the whole Bulls team was on the fucking. Everybody was off the bench. I was like, wait, bro. By like 7 to 10 seconds after LaVine, like, bro, the whole team is out there. Bro. Coaches is out there. I'm like, and it wasn't even like pushing real hard and fighting. It was like real small shit. And I don't know. I want to see how that's gonna go. I'm interested for that, a little caveat in the season. But I mean, who cares about the Chicago Bulls, right? Like, I never really. And as much as even like I don't care about the Chicago Bulls so much that when they had Derrick Rose, I was young, by the way. I acted like I didn't like Derrick Rose as much as I like Derrick Rose because he played for the Bulls. And like, bro, when he played for Memphis, like, bro, I love Derrick Rose. He came into the league and I tried to love him but it was just like, you wrong place, wrong time, my boy. Like, I can't fuck with you right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you in the middle of what we're trying to do as Eastern Conference champions in this, you know what I'm saying, with LeBron.
And never forget that Mario Chalmers is Derrick Rose's father. So,
yo, that's crazy.
Coach Self.
Hey, he did it to him twice. Did it in the national championship and in the NBA playoffs. So I'm just saying, Derrick Rose could never seem to beat Mario Chalmers.
I'll never forget Derrick Rose missing that free throw in Eastern Conference Game 5. Was that?
He did it in Eastern Conference Game 5 and let Miami come back. And then he also missed the free throw in the national championship game that let Mario Chalmers hit that game-tying 3 to send it to overtime. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Mario Chalmers got this little effect on Derrick Rose that he misses clutch free throws. He gets a little nervous.
Mario Chalmers.
I do have players of the week though for the NBA.
Okay.
I'm tight. We never got to see Cam and Mario Chalmers play ball. Like, I feel like they just talked all that shit for no reason. They were supposed to play one-on-one. What's up with the players of the week?
So for the Eastern Conference, speaking of Cam, I'm going to go Cam Thomas because the man is shooting 62.5% from the field. And he's taking 20 shots a game, averaging 33 a game right now. So he is, and we've seen stretches of this. We haven't seen him do it consistently for a full season, but
I mean, they did bench him after he did the stretch last year.
Yeah, exactly. So you hope now maybe he gets the opportunity to continue to do this. But for a 6'3" guard to be shooting 62% for the first 3 games of the season on that volume is insane. And he's only shooting 33% from 3. So it's not even like he's shooting the ball from 3 well. He's just getting to his spots and making shots. And then my Western Conference Player of the Week is going to be Luka because he's averaging 41 a game, and he's just doing things that Luka Doncic does, and he's, I think, the early favorite for MVP this year, to this point at least, even though it's a short amount of time.
Like that.
And since E went there, I'm going to go with the Donkey of the Week too, and it's going to be none other. We should actually name this award after him. His name is Dylan Brooks for what Steph did to him the other night. That is the that is my
Yo, Kev, you're not in this group chat, but I posed a question to the group chat the other night after that, and I asked them, when is Dylan Brooks gonna stop acting like he's like that? Because he's really, I just want him to play basketball, bro. Like, whether you're winning or you're losing or you're looking stupid, stop talking to the media and acting like you're the fucking MVP of the league, bro. You're not like that, bro. And now, at this point, you're a target. You got a fat target on your back. And you're hibachi every week now. Everyone's just waiting to cook you at this point because that's what it's turning into at this point.
And not just what Steph did to him, but what Wembanyama did to him also after
the point.
After Dylan Brooks said that he was tall, and that was the only thing he had for Wembanyama. So he's getting done in by rookies and Hall of Famers in back-to-back games. So I mean, it doesn't get any. It's funny though that Ime allegedly didn't want Harden because Harden wanted to lead the league in scoring again, but he wanted Dylan Brooks on his team. It's just
Make it make sense.
Make it
Hey,
make sense.
shout out to Klay Thompson for getting in the top 10 conversation, passing Jamal Crawford for the most threes in NBA history. Now 10.
Damn.
There was Harden. I don't know if y'all saw this. I saw a video. James Harden was like, he's not playing tonight. Obviously, first of all, the whole James Harden situation, like him still out, right? I'm talking like he played in game 1 and 2 or something. But like him going out to fly with the team, and the team was like, you know what? No, you're not going to fly with us. Just stay. And I mean, he's returned to the team since, and he was at the game, and there's a Michael Myers fan, and he has a sign that says "Drink Me Harden." James Harden the video at the guy. That was the video. It's real funny. So that was pretty funny.
I did see that.
Also, shout out to Kim Kardashian for, you know what I'm saying, getting that Skims partnership with the NBA and WNBA or so. But there's going to be a men's collection, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty cool to see as far as how I'm going to view myself in my Skims.
Oh no.
That's all I got to say.
Oh man.
Every man whose girl wears them is getting a pair just to see what all the fuss is about.
Hey, I need to see what all that fuss is about. That's hilarious. But real quick, Victor Wembanyama. This is the second time Kev just mentioned his name when talking about Dillon Brooks. It's crazy that we talked about. Well, it's not because you brought up Steph for Dillon Brooks. I was going to say it's crazy that we talked about Dillon Brooks but not Victor Wembanyama. But it's because we talked about the dog, which is quite funny. Rookie of the week, I will say, is Victor Wembanyama.
Might be rookie of the fucking year.
He will be rookie of the year, and it's we're just gonna find out more things about him as the season goes on, and more things that he's capable of doing on a basketball court. Because if we keep it honest, there was a bunch of us watching all his games in France overseas, and you know when they were showing it on NBA League Pass, there was a bunch of us that weren't. And also, that wasn't the NBA. This is. So you can do anything on any basketball stage, but until it's done in the NBA, you'll never be looked at as a great NBA player, which makes total sense. But Victor Wembanyama is doing things already in his rookie year that we're just going to have to question the future of the league and how you're going to go about preparing, game planning for a guy like this. And then, you think about when the Spurs are going to, or how the Spurs are going to continue to draft. And you know what I mean? Like, this whole thing can really be a dynasty if you do it right. And I'm going to say that based on the first week of basketball that I watched from Victor Wembanyama, because I'm trying to figure out how you stop this guy. And when once he's got 2-3 years in this league, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? So, especially if you surround him the correct way with talent.
I mean, I think like everything, the adjustments will be made by teams, and he's still going to dominate. He's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. But like you said, it is going to be interesting to see what happens, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and how adjustments are made, or what adjustments are made, or honestly, let's be quite realistic. If any adjustments can be made at all to stop him, like he's definitely, like I said, a force to be reckoned with. I do cringe every time I see him go up for a layup and he falls. I'm not gonna lie. It's the same thing, but it's not just him though. It's the same thing with Chet Holmgren and all those other tall motherfuckers that just throw their body around. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh God, I feel like a parent when I'm watching them, bro. Oh man.
You're okay.
Walk it off, champ. Walk it off. Hey, let's move on to the NFL. And I want to pose a couple questions for you. Thursday night we didn't get to record. I was packing my stuff up into a little pod to be shipped up here. But Thursday night, the game that we had, the Buccaneers up in New York playing Buffalo. Final score of Buccaneers 18, Buffalo Bills 24. My question is, because the spread was Buffalo -10 and they won by 6, Buffalo and Josh Allen were still getting some heat about how you can't even cover the spread against a team like the Buccaneers. Is the criticism for a 5-3 Buffalo team who's 4-1 at home warranted, June?
No. Again, we're gonna name this episode "A Win Is a Win," and I mean, I don't think the Buccaneers team is such a bad team. Honestly, like they're a competitive team with talent, and they don't have a great quarterback, but they have a quarterback who can get them to win games, and he can throw the ball. It's not like he's a incompetent type of quarterback. It's just you don't know what you're going to get from Baker Mayfield week in, week out. Now, the Bills' criticism, so to that extent, I don't think it's warranted. But obviously, the Bills do deserve an extent of criticism where you play down to your opponent. Josh Allen turns the ball over way too many times and doesn't put his defense in a good position a lot of times. The Bills start slow sometimes, things like
they don't
that.
Score in the fourth quarter.
Right. There's a lot of criticism to them, but you said it. They're the 5-3 Bills, and right now, they just got to win. They just got to win on Thursday. You know what I mean? They beat the Dolphins, beat the brakes off the Dolphins. You know what I mean? So I think the Bills that you would like to see better. You would like to see it look a little cleaner. You would like to see there be more consistency in what they're doing. But they're sitting at one of the best records in the league right now. So I wouldn't be too mad if I'm a Bills fan. And if I'm not a Bills fan, I wouldn't be necessarily threatened so much by the Bills. But just know, if you're going against the Bills, there is a chance you lose. The Bills can beat any team in this league. So they just got to do it.
Kev, what do you think?
The Bills, like June said, could beat any team in the league unless Zach Wilson's playing quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I think over a season you have those losses, right? Like, or those wins, like the ugly wins, the bad losses to a team that you should have beat. Like every team goes to. We just saw Kansas City lose to Denver.
Chill out, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think like we should be like, oh, is Mahomes and Kelsey done? Like, should they add Taylor Swift to the roster? Because whenever she's there, like I don't think we're at that point yet with Kansas City. I don't think we're gonna get there. I think it was just a bad loss. Mahomes obviously, had the flu yesterday. Didn't have a Mahomes like game. Didn't look like himself all game, and Denver was able to take advantage of some things on their offense side of the ball that they were able to exploit against Kansas City, and they did a good job yesterday. Like, congratulations to Sean Payton, one of the biggest wins of the season that he's going to have. So yeah,
it's crazy because that was mad sarcastic. It was also facts.
So we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the week, but I'm gonna fast forward to tonight. We had a pretty interesting Monday night Halloween Eve football game between the Raiders and the Lions in Detroit. And again, as I predicted, I'm gonna take the what is it, the credit for this. That's the word I was looking for, the credit. I said that the Lions were going to be the number one team in the NFC North and they would win the NFC North, and it's looking like I probably should have put a bet in with Vegas because it's looking pretty good right now. But on the opposite side of that, the Raiders, Devontae Adams, 7 targets, 1 catch, 11 yards. Is the lack of criticism for Devontae Adams warranted, June?
No. Wait, lack of criticism? I don't think he deserves any type of criticism. If there's a play to be made, Devontae Adams is going to make the play. If there's a play to be made, Jimmy Garoppolo is not always going to make the play. And so a couple things that stand out. I didn't even watch this game. I watched half of the third quarter, and I watched the highlights in the first half. It looked so boring. And, I mean, honestly, I don't think I want to watch the Raiders at all this season. I was excited to see what the Lions could come out and do. And are the Lions going to win a game they're supposed to win, and they have been this year. So I wasn't like, can the Raiders beat the Lions? It was more so I would like to see the Lions just go in and take care of business, and I'm glad they did. You look at Jimmy Garoppolo; he went 10 of 21 for 126 yards and an interception, and Josh Jacobs had only 15 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Jimmy Garoppolo had 2 carries. Amir Abdullah had 1 carry, and so you say, you got 24. Say 39 plays. You only got 39 plays. And what can you do with that? You know what I mean? When Josh Jacobs is your leading receiver with 2 catches and 27 yards, what type of football game is going to be won there? It's got to make some sort of sense. And usually, you say you can't look at a stat line or a box score and tell the game. No, well, this game was one of those games where you could look at the box score and say, okay, well, yeah, look, the Lions had 486 total yards and over 220 rushing yards. You can also look at it and say, well, the Raiders only had 157 yards of total offense and only averaged 3.5 yards of play. Only got 11 first downs. We're 0 for 9 on third downs and 0 for 3 on fourth downs. 45 plays was the total amount of plays. We sacked 6 times, punted 5 times, 4 penalties for 40. And I'm reading every stat here because this is so telling on how this game was won or lost. 0 fumbles lost, 1 interception thrown, and only 20 and a half minutes of possession. That's unserious football. And what is my line about this Raiders team, EP? You remember my line about this Raiders team?
I don't, but I know it's going to be amusing.
You'll remember it as soon as I say it. The tank job is in full effect.
Oh, that's right, because I'm the one that put that in your ear. Pause. That was crazy.
Yo, that was crazy.
Hey, way to ruin the moment. But they're sitting at 3 and 5. And Kev, I'm gonna let you get on the subject, but I just have to. The tank job is clearly in full effect. This is clearly unserious football. I don't understand how the locker room still has any respect, and I don't see why Davante Adams is still a goddamn Raider, because trade him, get first-round picks, get as much talent as you can, get whatever you can for Davante Adams. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl or damn near take you to the playoffs. I understand you have a stretch of games where, hey, they look fair. But when you come out to the Lions and do this, 157 yards of offense and 126 passing yards, that's unserious football. That's non-winning football. That's top 4 draft pick football. And if that's what you want, say that. Cool. But
Shit.
Yeah, no, I need Aaron Rodgers to get on the phone with Davante Adams and be like, yo, Davante, listen, I know you've seen the videos. I'm back throwing the football already. I'll be back in like a month. Request a trade to the Jets. Only the Jets. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to go anywhere but the Jets. Just do it.
Oh my God. I hear you, bro.
I mean, listen, I think what Davante Adams just said recently publicly is very telling. Like, he went to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr, and after 1 year of playing with Derek Carr, one of his best friends, they said, fuck you, Derek Carr, which essentially you're saying, fuck you, Davante Adams. So, I mean, Davante Adams is every right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which that's fine. Like, you're not going anywhere. You want to bench the quarterback, whatever. But you literally traded for a guy who made it clear why he was coming.
No. They benched the quarterback and then traded him or let him go. You know what I'm saying?
Let him go. Yeah, and made it clear that they didn't want him.
In Vegas, yeah, it's like you're not gonna finish the season, but Bucko. So it's like they definitely slapped him in the face, and then essentially slapped Davante Adams in the face.
Yeah. So I mean, he has every right to be upset, and then on top of that, the team is losing. Like, that's even more of a reason to be upset. And yeah, I mean, if I was him, I'd ask out. Tomorrow's the trade deadline. Like, I'd be like, yo, get something done now, like tonight. I don't care if you can't sleep tonight, but call somebody, take Carl Lawson back, and get me the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I hear you. I told June the other day I need the Chiefs to send Sky Moore in a third round draft pick to Tennessee for D Hop. Honestly, that'd be an ideal situation for me right now. But we're not gonna talk about the Chiefs because, like June said, it doesn't matter. It's a one. It's it's a loss that doesn't it's whatever. Like we don't got. What I do want to talk about though, the San Francisco 49ers on a 3-game losing streak, the longest losing streak since December of 2021. What the fuck is going on with this Kyle Shanahan coached 49ers team right now, June?
Well, before I answer that, I don't want to talk about the fraud Titans, but I do want to acknowledge you did say DeAndre Hopkins, can the Chiefs maybe trade for him? And listen, if there was any confusion as far as if he still has it or whatever the case is, or why did he go to Tennessee?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, 4 catches for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. And shout out to Will Levis, 19 of 29, 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, they said that they would use Will Levis and Malik Willis in this game. And they looked at Malik Willis and said, you know what? I'm good, boss.
I think he fumbled on like the first drive of the game or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
He said, I'm good, boss. So, I mean, like I said, I don't even want to talk about this game. Falcons, found themselves in a weird position. Desmond Ridder, Tyler Heineke fighting for opportunity now. Whatever. I did get the first part of the question where or the first part of what you were saying as far as this longest 3-game losing streak. What was the final of the question?
What's going on? Like, I mean, again, this is the longest losing streak for them since December of 2021. This is a 49ers team whose defense has been dominant. And listen, no shade to the Bengals because with a healthy Joe Burrow, they're top 4 in the AFC, maybe.
And he looks healthy again.
Top 3 in the does he ever? So is this a bigger win for the Bengals or is it a bigger loss for the Niners?
It's definitely a bigger loss for the Niners. I mean, you can shade the Bengals all you want for what they've put out this year. And yes, Joe Burrow hasn't been healthy, but I mean, they were playing some bad football nonetheless. But so good win for them. However, concerning 3 straight losses ever since George Kittle puts the "fuck Dallas" T-shirt thing.
That's right. Damn.
Throwing interceptions left and right, and I think they're getting down in games, and 31 points. You don't want to have to try to beat 31 points with this Bengals team. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to run the ball and establish a strong play action and a nice RPO would be good here and there. But when you got Brock Purdy, coming down 2 possessions and he's got to score on this drive. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that's not his strong suit. And we all know that it's a system quarterback thing in San Francisco. And it's not a discredit because we've had this conversation maybe the last time we recorded about Brock Purdy and is he a system quarterback? I think Brock Purdy would be a good quarterback on another team. However, Kyle Shanahan does have a system and it works. And if you're good enough to do what he asks, he knows the game and he'll put you in the right place. But these last few weeks, the defense had to be relied on a little too heavy, and they're not able to get some stops. So it's looking a little concerning. What you think, Kev?
So I know when they were 5-0, everybody was talking about Purdy MVP or McCaffrey MVP. I think, and it will never happen because he doesn't have the numbers to support it. But he's kind of like this guy's kind of like their Bam Adebayo, right? Like he does everything and nothing the certain things he does doesn't necessarily show up in the box score, like going and hitting a block on a run play or lining up at running back or lining up at receiver. But since Debo's been out of this offense, it hasn't really quite been the same. And so I think them missing Debo is, a huge blow to that offense. Pause. So I think that's probably the biggest difference in what we've seen with San Francisco. And I think when he gets back, we might see a resurgence again. But for now, yeah, they look like they're Debo injury away from. And I it might not even just be Debo. Like if Debo goes out, or if Debo comes back and McCaffrey goes out, it might be the same type of thing. But what Debo does, I think, like I said, I think he's like their Bam. Like he doesn't have the stats that show you like this guy's a game changer. Like he really does a lot for this team. But yeah, I think he's probably one of the most impactful players in the league.
He is, and that's kind of the blessing and the curse for them, because if they don't have him, are you telling me they can't win football games? You know what I mean? And as much as I understand he does, and the distraction he is, the actual player he is when he does have the ball in his hand, frankly, this team has more talent. You know what I mean? He's not the only guy on this team, and you have to be concerned if just because Deebo Samuel's out there, you can't. That's true. That's not a good problem to have. And the defense, because I understand Deebo's not in there. You're not going to score 31 points, but the defense also, letting up as much as they have been, the rushing game being as successful it is. Jamar Chase had a 100-yard day. It's tough. It's tough. And if you're Brock Purdy and your back's against the wall, yeah, you threw for 365. But, I mean, 2 interceptions.
Yeah. And I was going to say, those are like the turnovers and putting your defense in those situations is what's going to cost you 31 points also. You give up turnovers in your own territory, and you let the offense start from inside their own 50. Not just that offense, but Joe Burrow at quarterback and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. You letting them start in your territory. Giving him a short field is never going to pan out well for you.
I feel like if your quarterback is leading the team in rushing, you're probably not going to win. And
facts.
Christian McCaffrey, only 12 carries. And I was even going to say that. It's funny. The whole time I was like, am I going to say unless Lamar? But I was like, you know what? Lamar can kill you, dotting the ball up. And he's not really a running quarterback. Like, he gets active and he gets out of that pressure. And he was before in his first 2-3 years. But I think he's developed more into he'll get out when he has to and make a play. And then he's just so elusive that it happens. But I don't want Lamar Jackson leading my team in rushing. I don't. You're my franchise quarterback. Like, I hope that our running back could get us a 90-yard game. You know what I'm saying? Game. So, 54 yards from Christian McCaffrey on only 12 carries. It just talks to having to play from behind. You can't have that dominant run game and just try to go all out. But shout out to George Kittle. He had his 150-yard game, but it was in a losing effort.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough to make up since, like I said, that F Dallas. So
yeah, funny enough, a player on each of these teams 3 weeks ago did some cursing in the media, and it resulted in the opposite. George Kittle said "fuck Dallas" on his T-shirt, and now they're 0-3 ever since. Jamar Chase said, "I'm always fucking open," and guess what? They're 3-0 since he said that. So hey, and he scored 4 touchdowns since he said that. You know what I'm saying? So hey, maybe it depends on who you are, but the curse might work.
Talking about Jamar Chase scoring 4 touchdowns since that, let's talk about AJ Mother freaking Brown with 6 straight games with over 100 yards. He's had multiple touchdowns in multiple of those games. And, I mean, what he's doing right now is Hall of Fame numbers. This looks like Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb, if you ask me right now.
Okay.
And what we're watching right now, people need to recognize the greatness. I don't care if you're an Eagles fan or not. The Eagles are one of, if not the best team, somebody might think they're the best team in the league. Somebody might think there's another team that's out there better than them. But what I'll tell you is that there might not be too many guys better than A.J. Brown at that wide receiver spot. And my question to you guys is, who is the best wide receiver in the league right now?
You know who I'm going to say. I'll let Kev say it for me. I know who he's going to say.
Oh, well, you think you know who I'm going to say. Are we talking about, like, currently, like, with injuries being considered also? Or are we talking about, like, even when healthy? Because my answer is Justin Jefferson.
We're watching football right now, and you got to tell me who is the best receiver that you're watching week in and week out 2023 season.
Okay, so for this season, because he's been hurt, I'm going to take Tyreek.
Let's go. Come on, man. That's all you have to live on, man.
But if Justin Jefferson was playing football, I would take Justin Jefferson. I still think Justin Jefferson is, but like.
So if Justin Jefferson had to this point 877 yards, you know what I'm saying, 6 or 7 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill has the numbers he had, you're still going to say that Justin Jefferson is wide receiver 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
If there was a power ranking of wide receiver, you would go with Justin Jefferson at 1?
Yeah, I think he's the most talented guy in the league at that position. I mean,
wow.
I think Tyreek.
But you
say what?
I'm saying it's about production in my eyes. Like Tyreek Hill being the fastest player to 1,000 yards half the season, I don't even fuck what Justin Jefferson got going. That's how I feel. You saying like, what could Justin Jefferson do? That
especially when he didn't do it. Granted, you know, there's a man named Travis Kelce in Kansas City, but especially when he didn't do that with Mahomes. Like, it has to be Tyreek Hill. It has to be.
What you saying, Kel?
Who didn't do what with Mahomes?
Tyreek Hill did it to 1,000 yards in 8 games with Mahomes, but he's doing it in Miami. What he said.
Yeah, I still think it's. I mean, I think that Justin Jefferson week in and week out is giving you production, regardless of who's his quarterback. Regardless, like we didn't see that last year with Tyreek when he had Skylar Thompson. I think you could put Skylar Thompson in Minnesota. Jefferson's still going to get his catches.
Now I think you're dragging it, but I'm gonna let you.
Now you're moving the goalpost, buddy.
I think you're dragging.
But it's different because with Jefferson, you could throw it up and hope he comes down with it. You can't throw it up to Tyreek or jump. You can't throw a jump ball to Tyreek.
You don't have to throw a jump ball to Tyreek, bro. He's open. He's open. You don't have to throw a jump ball.
You can't get that open at the 1. You can't run a streak route from the 1.
I would also like to argue that you can throw a jump ball to Tyreek Hill and he will come down with it. But that's just me. I feel like if you go on YouTube right now and type in Tyreek Hill jump ball, you can see a compilation of a few plays over his Hall of Fame career.
I think all you gotta see is the one that Justin Jefferson had against Buffalo.
I think it's bothering me more so that we're talking about Justin Jefferson because he's not even playing and he's injured. And you know, I'm sure if he was, his numbers would be up there, and you know, we'd be talking about him.
Would they be higher than Brown and Tyreek though? Is the question.
So
I mean, he had 114 yards per game.
That's what I don't want to do. I want to talk about guys that are right now balling in the league, and Justin Jefferson's not doing it. And that's why you did say Tyreek Hill, and EP said Tyreek Hill. I also say Tyreek Hill, but AJ Brown, another week or two like this, I think.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's when I'm gonna just say, like, you know what, AJ Brown honestly is week in, week out doing it one-on-one, beating his man. You know what I'm saying? He's going against the best corner every week. Obviously, they both are, but he doesn't have that speed advantage. He's just a bigger guy. You know, he's just a more physical guy, and it's a guy that the Tennessee Frauds didn't want to sign. And that makes me so happy. So
Tennessee Frauds.
We talk about why I'm really glad and relieved, Kev, that you didn't say since, you know, healthy or whatever. I thought you was gonna say Garrett Wilson for some reason. So I'm just glad you didn't say Garrett Wilson. But let's talk about that game.
But like in 2-3 years, I will be.
Let's talk about that game. The worst game that I've ever watched.
You mean the best game you'll ever watch, according to the announcers?
Cowboys, I said the Cowboys, the Jets and the Giants at MetLife on a rainy Sunday afternoon. I think there was
the Battle of New York
in that game. There was a couple missed field goals by the Giants, and the wind just slipped right out of their hands. And Zach Wilson played a poor game, and then fucking comes down and just says, "Screw fucking you." That's what Zach Wilson does sometimes. It's just like, you know what? Shut up. He'll be like, "Shut up," and it's just like, you shut up for a second, because I mean, shit. Hey, again, what's the title of this shit? A win is a win. And it's so annoying because what the fuck, man? First possession, Zach Wilson takes a sack. You know what I'm saying? Thibodeau gets a strip sack on him. And it's just, you got the, okay, I understand why the Giants can't throw the ball. They got their fucking second, third string quarterback in there, third string quarterback in there. Don't want to throw the ball. We got Barkley handed off every play. You guys got your fucking starting quarterback out here and still can't throw the ball. And it's just like.
He's not a starting quarterback.
He is your starting quarterback, buddy.
Currently.
That's your starting quarterback.
Tommy DeVito is now the Giants starting quarterback.
No.
Yeah, he's a starting quarterback.
Hey, I guess. But no, Zach Wilson has been a starter and is the starter ever since fucking 4 plays in week 1. He's your starter. And he's been your starter at least with 3 weeks of game plan and all this shit. Listen, can't throw the ball. Can't throw the ball. Now, granted, your offensive line is a bunch of hoopla, you know. They got a lot more credit than they should have this off season and hype. And obviously a lot of people knew, hey, this is what we need. You know, the Jets need their offensive line to be good so they can be great and need to protect Aaron Rodgers. But it's crazy that you guys keep scraping away these wins. I'll give that to you. Like, you guys are finding a way to do it. But Jesus, I don't know if this is like.
I don't know if finding a way is a term because they played a team that had -9 passing yards. So, like, I don't know if finding a way to win is the way.
At least in NFL history. Found a way.
I didn't think they were going to get worse.
You almost went on NFL history yourselves with losing to a fucking team with -9 passing yards. That shit would have been crazy, bro.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand
Win
grenades.
is a win, right? My fault.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line also, though, currently, because week 1 and 2 was terrible. Dwayne Brown went out, Joe Tippmann came in, and they moved some guys around, and it improved. Like, it improved significantly to the point where Zach was able to sit in the pocket a little bit longer and let routes develop and have some more time to throw the ball. And I think we saw improvement in Zach Wilson for those couple games. And then Tippmann got hurt. And then yesterday, our backup center, Connor McGovern, got hurt, and they moved the guard over to center, and then he gets hurt. So then we have a center who we just called up on Saturday from the practice squad taking snaps and botches the first snap to Zach Wilson. So, and it was almost like, yeah, they're on their 3rd string quarterback, but we're on our 4th string center, which is probably if you can't snap the ball, you can't run a play. So, and then his second snap, they moved Wilson to the shotgun, and the snap almost goes over Zach Wilson's head. So, like, it was ugly. It was an ugly. I will say, though, if that was the ugliest football game you watched, you did not watch the Jets-Patriots game last year because that was fucking terrible.
You're right. But I mean, that game had to end with the punt return touchdown. What other game was that? That was the Bills game versus the who?
Bills-Jets this year. We flipped the script.
I mean, do we have to keep talking about the Jets and the Giants right
now? Nah, we don't.
We don't. However, just quickly, I will say, this defense just keeps racking them up. They keep doing their job, and doing their job, and doing their job. And I don't know when he's coming back, but if he comes back sooner than later, I think this team has a chance again to do something, you know, beyond just making the playoffs. But
and I love that there's that, you know, optimism there, because I feel you. Like, there's genuine optimism, and as you should, bro. The man is on the fucking field throwing the ball before the game. Like,
dropping back too. Like, it's not just like.
I feel you. So if he gets that Christmas return, I mean, shit. I just pray that everything goes well, and that'd be awesome to see, bro. Like, we can watch Aaron Rodgers actually make a miraculous comeback from an Achilles in the same season. Like, who the fuck does that? But
and also just quickly, because of the fact that he doesn't play in 65% of their snaps this season, the Jets are not sending a 1st-round pick anymore. They're sending a 2nd-round pick. So it would be incredible for him to come back, play the rest of the year. The Jets have to trade a 2nd-round pick, and the Jets find a way to win a championship all in one season.
But
that's wild. You're not. Yeah, now you're dragging it. That was worse than Justin Jefferson.
This defense and the run game, Brees Hall looked better every week. The defense
Hey,
looked
All
good.
right, buddy. When you beat a team that had -9 passing yards by only 3 points, and it takes an overtime to
All
do
right,
it,
and then
I feel you.
who
I
who
feel
did we just
you.
who did we just say was the best team in the league?
well,
We
we
haven't
don't know.
actually.
What? No, but no. Just before this, we were talking about who? We were talking
The
about who?
Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, and who's the only team to beat them with starting 2 practice squad DBs,
Oh my goodness.
starting 2 practice squad DBs against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, listen, if you're telling me this defense is not elite, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm not telling you that.
Listen, I don't know why June mentioned the Dallas Cowboys earlier or like almost brought them into
Yeah.
the play, but I do want to talk about that game because it seemed like the Rams should have stayed in bed that morning. It shouldn't have even showed up to AT&T Stadium. It was nasty, it was ugly, and it was ugly early. They were getting scored on early and often, as they say. My question to you guys is, I know Sean McVay's under contract through 2026. Is he in the hot seat this season?
I don't necessarily think so. I think the Rams as a franchise, I think, are in a weird position, and they understand. I also think they understand that. So like, fuck them draft picks is like a real thing, and you know what comes. You know what comes with that. Like, let's be totally honest. You traded Jalen Ramsey away. You know what I'm saying? You won your Super Bowl. Stafford ended up getting hurt and coming back, and so it's like we're at that point of the timeline for them where the window is closed, and what do we do from here? Now, are we going to be great GMs and trade players for draft picks and get some of that compensation back? Are we going to just blow it up entirely and own up to like, hey, I mean, Rams fans, y'all got a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. Y'all boys won 2021, 2022 season. But, you think as one is enough because we thought that Rams team would probably be together longer and compete more for championships. At least I did. But things went left pretty quickly. And I just don't think I can put it on a case of coach. You have to point the blame somewhere for sure, and I get that. But I think he's done a fair job. I think he's done a fair job for what they've wanted when they hired him and working with what he's got now. I mean, you look at a guy like Puka Nacua, who is making history right now, and that's Sean McVay's offense. Like fire Sean McVay, who's going to run that offense? You know what I'm saying? Because you still have a guy like Stafford at this moment who understands how offense can work, and he's been in the league, so he's making it run. Obviously, not great every year, but if you want a quarterback back there, you got to want somebody that's going to understand it. Now, if you look at the flip side, like maybe we do get a young quarterback. I don't know how with the draft because of their pick situation, but I think I would like Sean McVay to help mentor that quarterback or, lead him to find success. So they're in a tricky position. I don't think he's on the hot seat per se. If they go and lose, another like 3 or 4 straight, then like, all right, yeah, like turn it on. But I think McVay is respected enough, and he's done a lot for that organization from where they were in 2017 when, Todd Gurley and Jared Goff were just young bucks there. They've really made something out of that franchise.
Kev, what are you saying?
Yeah, I don't think he's in any type of trouble. He's still young. It's not like he's like got this outdated system, where
Right.
where it's like you can't draft somebody young and have them come in and succeed. It's funny actually because yesterday I was listening to the radio. I was in the car during some of the games real quick, and I heard on the call about the Philadelphia and Commanders game where I guess it was a first down by Devontae Smith that Ron Rivera did not challenge. And it reminded me of June. I wasn't on, but I was watching on YouTube live when he was talking about the MacBook and the enemy being that hard drive that's just not adapting because it's so old. Like the MacBook is so old that the hard drive won't connect.
You bringing up that reference is funny as fuck right now. I'm not gonna lie, that's funny.
But yeah, I was thinking in my head, I was like, it's because he's so old that he doesn't even realize he can challenge the fucking play. Because apparently everybody in the stadium knew it wasn't a catch except for Ron Rivera, who didn't throw the challenge flag. But yeah, so I think McVay's the opposite, where you can still like rely on McVay to make, run a good scheme on offense. Stafford's been dealing with injuries the last 2 years, already on the older side, so that's never injuries at that age is never, when they're lingering especially, it's not anything that's gonna help you or that you can just play through. So right, so I don't think his job is in danger. They did win a Super Bowl, and I think you have to kind of show some loyalty to him for that, and especially considering the circumstances that he's been in the last couple of years, losing Kupp and Stafford last year, and then this year having an injured Stafford that he's got to play through, and Kupp obviously starting the year injured. So he's been dealing with injuries throughout the team the last 2 years that have kind of set them back a little bit as well.
He's also been to 2 different Super Bowls with 2 different quarterbacks. It was a close game. It was a really good game. Great defense, obviously. But you can't say Matthew Stafford came and won the Rams Super Bowl. Like, they have something going. They had something going, and that's part of all what McVay was doing. So yeah, I think he's good. Shout out to the Cowboys. I mean, that's their 11th straight home win. So it's
a very nice stadium.
It's a nice place to win, and that I feel like that's going to be maybe something to look at going into the final half of the season. Cowboys at home. If you guys bet money line Cowboys at home, you know what I'm saying. But they actually showed what they can be and what they've shown sometimes this season. And the Cowboys do this. They're like Mr. Inconsistent. They'll have stretches. They'll be inconsistent, lose some games, be questionable, and then lose in the playoffs. But I mean, it's good offense. 43 points, vertical offense. You got Dak Prescott, like I said, throwing for. Well, I didn't say it, but I was thinking he threw for 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns himself, and this guy CD Lamb going off every week. 12 receptions, 158 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So,
by the way, he had 122 in the first half.
I think Brandon Cooks can try to find his niche in this offense, and I don't know, him and Dak kind of work on their chemistry. That's just another weapon that they have that can really, really frighten the defense. Speaking of frightening, it's Halloween. Happy Halloween, y'all boys. I don't know if that's something you tell your friends, but
Happy Halloween.
Just to emphasize that we are working overtime. You know what I'm saying? It is 12:20 on the East Coast. So shout out to Kevin EP and I for being here, being present, and getting this working. Now, before we wrap this up, we got a couple other things we want to get into. I wanted to talk about the Texans versus the Panthers game. I mean, the Panthers got their first win of the season. And is this the first game Frank Reich stopped calling plays?
I don't know.
Or is it the second week?
It's a good question.
It's either the first or the second week. But that'd be funny as hell if it's the first week he stopped calling plays. And
that didn't really seem to change much because they did only score 13 points or 15.
A win is a win.
Hey,
it is. That's fine. But don't give credit. But don't give credit where it's not due either.
Fuck it. Hey, listen. 15 points, 13 points.
I get it.
I mean,
I get it. But if you win a game 55-52, I'm not talking about my defense after the game and crediting them for making the stop at the end of the game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But it's more so coincidental that the first week, if so, that your coaching player calling changes, you get the fucking win. That's kind of what I'm saying. And interestingly enough, I know CJ Stroud. This game came down to a game with a field goal, Eddie Pinheiro. CJ Stroud had to be hurt when he realized he had the opportunity in his hands to beat the number 1 pick in the draft, which, I mean, 6 other teams already beat him. But being the number 2 pick, being the number 2 pick in the draft, like you guys could have had me type of thing. He don't have that right now. Like Bryce Young always will have, I beat you. You know what I'm saying? Whether how bad we have, this might be their only win. I know CJ Stroud probably had a hard time sleeping at night with that thought.
Yeah, and that division is not like wrapped up by anybody.
Yeah, like it's still winnable. It's, Carolina can still compete, right? They go.
I'm talking about
AFC South. I was gonna say shit. I mean, still, Carolina could probably go win 4 straight and be in contention for the fucking NFC South. But yeah, AFC South is still a bit open, and Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud are going to be able to compete because the Colts sure ain't going to compete, and I don't care to necessarily talk about them. And if we were to, I would just say that Tony Brown, our cornerback, he had like one of the worst games somebody could have, and everybody on Colts Twitter was calling for the Colts to fire him, but release him. You know what I'm saying? And this, that, and the third. But I mean, I'm not in the department of release him, cut him by Monday, off of one bad game. I do, however, understand how bad of a game he had and how wide receivers were getting so much separation. And hopefully we'll bounce back, man. Hopefully we'll bounce back. And it's tough. We got our backup quarterback in. Season kind of, like, for me, went to shit. Like, I really waited all offseason to watch Anthony Richardson play. And, knowing that Gardner Minshew doesn't have the capabilities he does in the offense that we train to run. Shout out to Jahmyr Gibbs for having 152 yards and a touchdown on Monday Night Football and jumping in the crowd.
Facts.
That was pretty good. But yeah,
breakout rookie performances.
I was going to say you're preaching to the choir right now about waiting all offseason to see a quarterback. And then
I just, at this point, it's like, obviously, Kev, you 4. It's nothing gonna amount to 4 plays in Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I'm like 4 games in, which 3 fucking injuries in those 4 games. He didn't even finish 2 of them, and he's our first round draft. He's a rookie, so it's like there's the unknown, there's the athleticism. He's 6'4", 250. Like, bro, I don't want to watch Gardner fucking Minshew be my quarterback.
The good news is he is a rookie, so you've got his whole career hopefully ahead of him, and he looks good from what we did see. So with like, me, my quarterback is 40 years old, and I don't know how much longer.
Fucking dropping back after 6 weeks post Achilles tear, so I don't understand.
Hey, he's
fucking
listening
RoboCop
to those,
over here.
He's listening to the Dolphins have sex, and while he's rehabbing. Whatever. You didn't hear about that?
No, and I don't care.
Oh, it's on
yeah,
McAfee.
Facts. What the fuck?
He talks about it on McAfee. He listens to the sounds of dolphins mating, and that is supposed to help with healing. So that's science. Okay. Whatever science he's got going on, keep doing it. I like what I see.
Dolphins helping the Jets again. Look
at that. Yeah. He's gonna. Don't worry, though. He's going to be listening to some Dolphins getting fucked on Black Friday.
Oh, at the same time, so will the Knicks be getting fucked on Black Friday.
I saw that the other day. That's kind of crazy. The Jets play the Dolphins at 3, and then the Heat play the Knicks at 7 or 8 on Black Friday.
As a Jets and Heat fan, that's pretty crazy for you.
It is. It is. It's very crazy.
That's wild. Fan, I'm just sad Anthony Richardson's out for the season. But can we talk about the power rankings? Because I want to hear y'all list. I want to see what you guys got. What else? What is the rest of our show consisting of? On my end, I'm all free over here after these power rankings.
I think we're just doing a quick EPL and after the power rankings, and then that's that, as they say.
Yeah, I just
Well,
got one or two quick statements after the power rankings, and then
facts. No, all good. I mean, I just want to remind everybody that this is the All Things Sports podcast. It will be titled specifically today, "A Win is a Win." It is FSU Hate Week. We cannot forget about that. So, whenever you get a chance to, you know,
send the Seminoles some
hate
hate.
on a Seminole, yeah, go for
But
it.
not the actual Seminoles. They're cool.
No,
Like just the Florida State
just the
Seminoles.
Tallahassee, Florida State, Dope Campbell, head ass Seminoles. All right, Tallahassee. We will be in the building, and we coming for some shit. So, yo, who wants to? Does anybody want to volunteer here for the power rankings and get their list off?
I can go
Okay,
first.
nobody. I volunteer, and then we're gonna
Oh,
start
okay.
from
Yeah.
five. We'll start from five. Kev, you'll go next. So actually, I have a six. I went and did an extra. I put a six in there as well because I think it's pretty close too. Um, the Lions. I got the Lions at six, and I think that with their ability to run the ball, Jared Goff being such a calm, cool, collected type of guy, he doesn't make too many mistakes. He typically makes the right read, doesn't make bad decisions in general. He's a smart guy. And that defense, getting to the quarterback, they're getting pressure, and they're playing way better than expectations probably had for them. I'm going to give the Lions number six. At number five, I got the Miami Dolphins. Top five team, definitely. But until they can, as we talked about earlier, beat teams with winning records, we need to see it, right? We need to see them win against the good teams. And they've struggled to do so. I know that they're good enough to beat the bad teams. They can do it in 70-point fashion. Great. But when it's cold outside, when the playoffs are around, that's when you really gotta, win these games. And their schedule gets tougher this week when they play Kansas City in Germany. So shout out to the Dolphins making the top five. At number four, 3 straight losses. San Francisco 49ers did drop in my view of the power rankings. I didn't do a power rankings last episode, but I imagine they probably would have been higher than 4 if I did. Um, again, the defense hasn't been playing as good as of late, and that's their strong suit. Deebo Samuel's injury, as Kev mentioned, is huge and critical to them. And Brock Purdy playing from behind isn't the same Brock Purdy as when the run game is dominant, defense is dominant, and all he has to do is make the beautiful throw. At number 3, I want to see how y'all react to this. I got the Baltimore Ravens at number 3. I think that is the best defense in the league. They're coming off a 3-turnover game. Lamar Jackson has to be in the MVP conversation, playing some of his best football. They're dealing with, J.K. Dobbins' injury. They always got to figure some sort of running back injury out every year. Odell Beckham in and out the lineup hasn't been too consistent, but has had crucial points of certain games. I think the Ravens are they're just going to continue to get better as the season goes on. EP, you know that I talked about them and Lamar Jackson possibly playing MVP football before the season started when we did the preview. And this defense, I said a top 10 offense and a top 5 defense. And I think that's how it'll play out. At number 2, I mean, we haven't seen Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs be held out of the end zone in quite some time. I got Kansas City at number 2. There's something about them that, as much as us three have had this conversation, I understand they have the team. They are the Super Bowl DNA. You know what I mean? They know the formula. They get it rolling. It'll be okay. I get that, and I'm sure it will. But they don't have enough weapons right now, and the offense sometimes just looks a little we're missing something. And against tough teams,
DeAndre Hopkins is what we're missing.
What's that?
DeAndre Hopkins is what we're missing.
Or Devontae Adams. But at number 1,
I like that one too.
That leaves the Eagles. And the Eagles jumped the Chiefs, in my opinion, this week by showing me, last week, because they showed me, again, the Dolphins don't beat winning record teams, but the Dolphins are still a respectable team. And you go in, we expected that to be probably game of the week, Sunday Night Football, and the Eagles took care of them. Forced Tua to make some bad decisions. Their defense isn't as strong as it was in the past, or even last year for that matter, but they still do have Jalen Carter. They still do have Darius Slay, right? Guys like James Bradbury help out. So I think their defense is good enough, and their offense with, Hall of Fame numbers in A.J. Brown right now and Jalen Hurts looking like, hey, he might be turning the corner on what was a struggle to start the season, coming off a nice win versus the Commanders. That's my power rankings. Miami, San Francisco, Baltimore, Chiefs at 2, Eagles at 1. Kev, what you got there?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put what did I have here? Just lost it. My bad. All right. So I actually have Detroit at 5. I think they've been very good all season. I didn't think they were going to be as good, but their run game has been one of, if not the best in the league so far, whether it's Montgomery or Gibbs. And I think that just comes down to them winning the game in the trenches. And that's a very Dan Campbell way to win, is just playing, ground and pound football. Pause. At number 4, I got Miami. Again, the issue, I have the same issue with them as I think everybody who doesn't think they're like number 1 or 2, in that they haven't shown that they can do it against good teams. They have a chance against Kansas City this week. And then is it New York the week after? Or no, it might be 2 weeks after that. Yeah, they got Kansas City bye week and then Vegas. So we'll see this week against Kansas City what they look like. It's a chance for them to, I think, show something against a team with a winning record. At 3, I also have Baltimore. So I'm with you on that. I'm actually
okay.
Well,
all right. I was gonna stop you real quick and just say 2 things. Did that mean you think the Lions are better than Baltimore? But I'm glad to see you have Baltimore at 3. Also, I saw the Max Scherzer pitch that hit him, the bat that hit the ball, and it was one of those. It was one of these. Hit him in the oblique back area. So he should be fine, but that's definitely going to sting like a motherfucker. So
yeah, he'll feel it.
Go ahead. You got Baltimore at 3. Talk to me about Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Zay Flowers is a very good receiver, especially with Lamar. I think they have a good chemistry going already. And I think, like you said, they're just going to continue to get better as the season progresses on offense. Defensively, every year you can expect Baltimore to be good. But offensively, I think they'll get better. And J.K. Dobbins is doing the same type of therapy and rehab that Aaron Rodgers is. So, I guess so, but they say that he's also ahead of schedule a little bit, and he could make a return potentially this year as well. So, he had the same type of surgery, which is a newer surgery that Cam Akers, I believe, had a similar type of surgery. So, we'll see if they can get Dobbins back, and if they do, how effective he is, because obviously as a running back, it's a little bit different than a quarterback coming off an Achilles. But we'll see what that looks like. But I do like Baltimore. I think they've been playing really good football lately, and a couple of losses by a couple, like one score. Both losses are 1-score games. They haven't looked terrible in any football game where they've been embarrassed or blown out. I've got Kansas City also at 2. Obviously, I would have had them at 1 if they beat Denver, but took the loss to Denver, which happens to them. I think they lost one year to the Raiders when the Raiders were terrible. It's just these random losses always seem to come up, especially for the Chiefs at some point in the year. They're always going to take one.
Yeah.
And then I have Philly at 1. They keep finding ways. They keep finding ways to win to this point, unless they're playing the Jets. But that tush push, brotherly shove, whatever they're calling it. I don't know if you guys saw the fake QB sneak that they had, but they basically faked that they were doing the 4th and 2 play and
didn't.
handed it off on an end around for the first down and a few more yards after the first down. So they're getting even more creative with it now, which will give teams a little bit more to prepare for and look for as the play develops and pre-snap things develop. But I do like the way that they're getting a little bit more creative with it, because it's not just line up and get everybody big behind Jalen Hurts and have them just truck forward and pick up the first down. But yeah, so that's my top 5. I will say though, I don't think there's been one team who's really been like consistently impressive week in and week out. Like I think even the Eagles wins haven't necessarily been impressive. Like the Washington game wasn't.
The 49ers until that 3-game skid.
Yeah. Yep.
Literally them.
No, absolutely. All right. 5-1, right? I got the Dallas Cowboys at number 5. I'm not gonna do explanations like you guys. I'll let you guys do the explanations. But I'm a.
Do that at least.
I think again, I'm gonna take the Rams defeat with a grain of salt, because we were just talking about how unfortunate the Rams have been. But I mean, Dallas going on 11-0 at home, 3-0 this season at home. They're one of 3 undefeated teams at home this season, accompanied by the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles, which I'll get to in a second. I know Dallas Prescott. Wow, Dak Prescott. He's under fire a lot all the time, and I think that he takes that to the heart, and he comes out and he competes day in, day out, game in, game out. I got to put Dallas at 5. At 4, I'm putting the Detroit Lions, for the simple fact that I said they were going to be here, and they're here. So I'm putting Detroit at 4. I'm putting the Dolphins at 3. I'm putting Kansas City at 2, and I'm putting Philly at 1. That's my power rankings. I really was struggling to not put Jacksonville in my top 5 power rankings this week. I really had to just figure out a way to not put them in there personally. I really like what Jacksonville's doing this year. Especially with how, yeah, exactly. I've been a little critical of Trevor Lawrence since he's been in the league, and he's done what he's been doing, and he has a Jacksonville Jaguar that's 6-2 right now. What more can you ask for from second year QB, right? Yeah, second year QB. So that's my power rankings.
Third year QB.
Third year QB. Sorry, apologize to the viewers.
Yeah, man. Yo, shout out to NFL, bro. We're at that midway level. Basketball is just starting. Baseball is ending. Football is getting to the nitty gritty. No pun intended. And obviously college football, you know what I'm saying? Bowl season is on the way. It's not here yet. Still got some good conference play. Rivalry weeks coming up. So it's a great time. It was fucking 80 degrees here in New York City on Saturday. It's 55 degrees on Sunday and rain. It's like, shout out to everybody, in Jamaica. I hope everybody is good with the earthquake. You know what I mean? There was an earthquake today. Prayers to, everybody in Maine. Prayers to everybody in Tampa dealing with those situations. Yeah, EP, you want to get us out of here with that EPL you
got? I know I alluded to it early in the intro. Lionel Messi, Ballon d'Or number 8. Cristiano Ronaldo has 5. Last year, my boy Karim Benzema, one of my favorite soccer players of all time, won it. And it's just, it's given to the it's like a Player of the Year award in soccer. It's the Ballon d'Or. Like it's one of the most prestigious awards in football, as they say. Shout out to that man. Man City just showing that they are the most dominant team as far as Manchester is concerned. With between them and Man United, they beat Man United 3-0 this weekend. That just passed. Tottenham still doing what they do. Um, I mean, again, we like I said, last episode, it's getting cold in London. It's getting cold in the UK. We're not going to be seeing as many goals as we see in March, April, or August, September when the season starts. March, April towards the end of the season. A lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. Last week, that's all I really have for EPL. Last week, I forgot to shout out Dante Hall, bro, because he's the reason I'm a Chiefs fan, and he was inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Fame. And I fucking exactly X Factor all day. And I fucking forgot to mention that. So big shout out to Dante Hall being inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Fame, getting his number enshrined in the rafters. Very big deal. That's what I got for you guys to close out tonight.
Kev, you got something? You got something, right?
Yeah, I just got two things quick. So the first thing is shout out to whoever, and I don't know who it was, but because in the preseason top 25 college football rankings, I noticed a very strange thing in the others receiving votes category, and it was James Madison has consistently gotten one vote every week for a while until recently, where they are now ranked 22nd. So whoever had, and they're 8-0. So whoever had James Madison ranked from the beginning of the season, shout out to you. I don't know who it was, but shout out to you for having that vision and seeing that, because that was not a team that even finished last year ranked, and you had them ranked from the beginning of the season, and now they're 8-0, and I think they're sitting at like 22 or 23. So that's big. That's cool. Shout out to you. And the other thing is, obviously, everybody can see the hat that I'm wearing. It is the Miami Heat Eastern Conference Champions hat from last year, and I wore it specifically because we lost to the Celtics on Friday. We lost to the Bucks today, and I just want to remind everybody it is October, and since Jimmy Butler has been in Miami, the Eastern Conference has always run through Miami. You have to beat us to keep playing in June. So just keep that in mind when you see Jimmy in June, in April and May and June, and it's Jim VP playing, not Jimmy Butler anymore. It's Jim VP, the second coming of Michael Jordan, who's on the court. Just we'll talk then. We'll have a conversation then at that point, just like we did last year. That's all I got.
Yo, Kev, you gotta keep a better group around you if people are talking shit to you already, buddy. That's all I'm gonna say about that. You gotta get better friends. You gotta get better friends, buddy.
He's letting everybody and anybody know. How about that?
Yeah, I'm just putting everybody on notice because it's just Knicks fans, Celtics fans, Bucks fans, Magic fans, whoever wants to notice, it's in your inbox. If you choose to open it, that's on you. But just know there's an important message in there, and it's that you're gonna have to see Miami at the end of the year.
I'll say shout out to Kim K. She got the deal with the Skims. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to her for that. Shout out to LeBron versus KD. We haven't seen that in 5 years. We got to see that in the first week of the season. Unfortunately, Bradley Beal is still yet to play with the Suns. Devin Booker also missed that game due to, I believe, like a foot or whatever.
Yeah, he'd been dealing with that since before the season started.
Yeah, but also shout out to Kevin Durant passing Hakeem Olajuwon for number 12 all-time scoring. So, this is a guy that, if Jordan, or if you weren't the Jordan generation, if you weren't, the Kobe generation, or AI, if you weren't the LeBron generation, like KD, this is up there. So KD, 12th all-time scoring. Shout out to him for having such a great career, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do all season, because he played a great game versus that Lakers. They ended up losing that game, but I'm excited to see what KD's going to do here in Phoenix in his second year. So that's it, man. If you've been listening to us, or if you're going to listen to us on the playback, appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Follow us on Twitter at ATSPOD, on Instagram at ATSPOD official. Kev, appreciate your time, bro, as always. EP, you already know my brother. We'll talk Thursday. Pull up Thursday. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be there. So beat me there. Don't meet me there.
Pause.
Peace.